When the Going Gets Tough, podcast 9. So, when do these challenges end? The answer is they don't. We don't want them to end because personal growth, like God, is infinite. As God is infinite, and our job is to become like God, our growth is also infinite. So when we are challenged, we are growing, and that is the purpose of life. Where are we headed with all of this growth? We are headed, as the first verse of the Torah says, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim ve'es haaretz. We are going to the shamayim. Shamayim is heaven. Heaven means sham, there. The plural of there is shamayim, which means the destination of all destinations. The there of all the theirs, which means we're going to a place of the ultimate personal growth. To become the best person, most sensitive, caring, intelligent, giving, persistent, persevering, giving, compassionate, empathic, leading, forgiving, creative person I can become. That's where we're going. We're going to the place of ultimate growth. That's what heaven means. Sham, there, destination, and we get there through achieving our destiny. Now this place called heaven is known in our terms as Gan Eden, the paradise of Eden, the Garden of Eden. Isn't it interesting that the Garden of Eden is made up of trees? Why trees? Trees are made up of two dimensions: the bark, the tree itself, and its fruit. Now the bark is achieved through process. The xylem, the phloem, the bark itself, the inner tissue of the tree, the photosynthesis which produces the growth of the tree. That's the process. The ultimate result is the fruit. In the Torah itself, it says in Genesis chapter 1, verse 11, Perek Aleph, Pasuk Yud Aleph, it says, Eitz pri ose pri lemino. Eitz pri, each fruit tree, made fruit of its own kind. Apple trees made apples, orange trees made oranges, lemon trees made lemons. Eitz pri ose pri. So the words that Rashi comments on are eitz pri, tree fruit. And he comments on the eitz pri, a tree with fruit. He says tree fruit means tam ha'etz ketam ha'pri. The bark of the tree was supposed to taste like the fruit itself. If you stripped off a piece of bark from an apple tree and ate it, it would or should have tasted like the apple itself. Stripping off a piece of orange tree, the bark of an orange tree, would have tasted or should have tasted like an orange tree. But Rashi says, V'hi lo asa sakein. And in this world, the trees did not produce fruit that the bark tasted like the fruit. Rather, that is reserved for the world to come. My Rebbe, Rav Moshe Shapira, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, explains as follows. What does it mean that in the world to come, in the Garden of Eden, the bark tastes like the fruit? He says as follows. The bark is process. It's ordeal, crisis, challenges. Things happen when the going gets tough. That's the bark of the tree. That's the very untasty part of life, the bitter part of life. The bark is bitter. And in this world, the bark is supposed to taste like the fruit. The process is supposed to be as tasty as the fruit, but we do not see it that way. In this world, it is not that way. In this world, the bark is bitter, and the fruit, the result, in the world to come, is sweet. In the world to come, when we get to the world to come, the bark and the fruit taste the same. In retrospect, when we get to the world to come, we say to ourselves, oh, the process I had to go through, the ordeals and crises I had to go through to become the person I became is as tasty as the fruit. In retrospect, as I reflect back on my life and I realize, oh, what I had to go through, that's the process which created the fruit that I am today. The result, the end result that I am today, the developed person that I am today. In the world to come, in Gan Eden, in the place of trees, there the fruit and the bark taste the same. Because it is there that I realized that I had to go through these difficulties and challenges because they created me. They made me. They built and steeled my character. They made me into whom I'm supposed to be. But in this world, the bark does not taste like the fruit. The bark tastes like bark and the fruit tastes like fruit, which means we have a discordance, a dissonance between the difficulties we go through and the result. We get upset, we're hurt, we're in pain, we're in emotional pain through the bark, the process, the travails, the trials we go through. Our goal is to realize that while we're going through challenges in life, they are building us, refining us, developing us. And we have to try to have a taste of the world to come while in this world. How do we do that? By realizing that the tests, the challenges that God sends us in this world really ultimately will be as tasty as the fruit. And we have to try while in this world, in this life, to be able to taste the difficulty and say, it's hard, it's difficult, but it's part of the process I need to go through. It's my tikkun, my rectification for my mazal elyon or my mazal tachton, my this worldly challenge or my next worldly challenge. Either way, it's there to create me, to develop me, to refine my character. And that's the purpose of life. And the Vilna Gaon tells us that the purpose of life is to refine our character, to break our negativity, to bring out our positivity, to refine ourselves, and to become the best I can become. That process is to be tasted in this world. If you realize the difficulties we go through are a gift from God to become who we're supposed to become, we'll taste that fruit in the world to come. And we could try to have a little taste of it, an understanding of it in this world as well.